On September 14, 1967, 53-year-old Louis Washkansky, a grocer and avid sportsman, was readmitted to Groote Schuur Hospital in Cape Town, South Africa. His diagnosis, end-stage heart failure. Prognosis, weeks. Treatment options, none, save for a procedure that had never been performed in human history, a heart transplant. And less than 3 months later, Dr. Christian Barnard, a heart surgeon, and his team had done just that, the first human-to-human heart transplant in history. The operation was successful, and amidst the media frenzy on the hospital ward, Louis was recorded speaking to his surgeon, his wife, and reporters just 33 hours after the operation. Louis only lived for 18 days following his transplant. He died from pneumonia that developed as a complication of the primitive anti-rejection medications he was receiving at that time. Over the next 3.5 years, another 163 people would go on to have heart transplants, and 142 of them would die, the majority from rejection or complications from anti-rejection medications. It wouldn't be until the development of a new class of anti-rejection medications in the early 1980s that outcomes began to improve. However, even today, patients who have heart transplants face ongoing complications from rejection. In particular, a unique and aggressive form of heart disease affects the blood vessels of the transplanted heart due to chronic inflammation within the heart. My research looks at new ways to tackle that problem. My lab is currently developing immunoengineered nanomaterials that can control or modulate the immune response and therefore ward off inflammation. In particular, my research looks at new zero-dimensional quantum dots produced from the transition metal carbide mixing. Here, we have synthesized tantalum carbide mixing quantum dots using a newly developed process. These quantum dots are 2 to 7 nanometers in size, abundant with surface functional groups, readily interacted with cells, and were highly biocompatible over long periods of time. Next, I tested these tantalum carbide quantum dots in the lab by culturing treated endothelial cells with immune cells derived from a different individual. The quantum dots were readily taken up into the endothelial cells and changed their immunologic behaviors. After 1 week of culture, treated endothelial cells had significantly less ability to activate donor-derived immune cells. When we looked at gene expression within these endothelial cells, we found significant decreases in key genes required for activation of foreign immune cells. Finally, when we tested them in a rat model of transplant rejection, animals who received an intravenous injection of tantalum carbide quantum dots had significantly less rejection of transplanted tissues. So where to from here? This was just the first report on the development and immunomodulatory application of these quantum dots. My lab is currently working on continuing development and optimization of these quantum dots so that one day a clinically available nanomedicine can be made available for these patients. Thank you very much.